Have you ever sat at the window just after dawn, when the house is quiet and the light hasn't quite made up its mind whether to stay or leave? You're holding your morning cup, same chair, same room, maybe even the same thoughts. And yet, some mornings carry a different kind of weight, not heavy in the body, but somewhere softer, somewhere behind the ribs. It's not sadness exactly, not regret either. It's something quieter, a question you didn't mean to ask, but it shows up anyway in the hush between footsteps, or in the space between breakfast and what comes next. What was it all for? We rarely speak this out loud. It sounds too big, too final, but it hums beneath so many days, especially as we grow older, because at some point we were told that life needed to be about something, a grand purpose, a legacy, a mission, and we believed it. But lately, I've started to wonder, what if the purpose we were promised was never meant to arrive the way we imagined? What if peace isn't something we find at the end of a long road, but something quietly waiting beside us all along? You don't have to answer that now. Tonight is not about solving anything. There's nothing to fix here. Just a moment to sit together, to breathe, to remember. And perhaps if we slow down long enough, we'll begin to hear something softer than purpose, something more honest, something you might have known once, but forgot along the way. There's a story I'd like to share with you. It won't give you all the answers, but it might help you sleep with fewer questions. Shall we begin? Part 1. The Illusion of Purpose as a Destination. Have you ever poured your entire heart into something, believing it was your reason for being, only to wake up one day and wonder, why doesn't it feel like enough? There's a story told in Zen tradition about a young monk who traveled far to meet a revered master. The boy had fire in his eyes and purpose in his steps. "Master," he said, "I want to find my true path. I want to know my destiny." The old man simply smiled and asked, "Why?" The boy hesitated. "So my life won't be wasted," he replied. The master paused, picked up a cup, and poured tea until it overflowed onto the table. "Like this cup," he said. "Your mind is already full, with ambition, with striving. You must first empty it. Only then can you taste the tea." That parable has stayed with me because I, too, spent years trying to fill my life with meaning. And like many of us, I thought I had to earn my right to peace by achieving something extraordinary. There's this quiet pressure we carry, especially in the West, where so much of our value is tied to what we do. You hear it in small talk. So what do you do? Not what do you care about, or what brings you joy, but what's your job title? We internalize the belief that our purpose is a finish line, and that we'll finally be whole when we get there. We wait for the applause, the title, the moment that will finally let us feel worthy of being alive. But here's the quiet truth. No one tells you. Chasing a grand purpose can become its own form of suffering. The Buddha taught that craving is the root of all suffering, and the craving for significance is among the most subtle and intoxicating of all. We convince ourselves that if we don't become someone who matters, then our life has somehow failed. But mattering to whom? According to what measure? I once met a retired nurse in her 70s at a meditation retreat in Northern California. Her name was June, and she told me, with tears in her eyes, that she felt like her life had been small. She had never written a book, started a business, or traveled the world. She said, "I just raised 2 kids, helped patients die peacefully, and watered my garden." Then she looked away, almost ashamed. I wish I could have shown her what I saw in that moment. A woman whose very presence radiated tenderness, a life made of sacred, invisible acts. The Buddha once said, "If you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path." And June had spent decades lighting lamps for others without even knowing it. What if that is enough? What if the path is not found in being special, but in being sincere? This is where the paradox begins. The harder we chase our purpose, the more likely we are to miss the quiet moments where life is actually happening. Because in that chase, we become so focused on the horizon that we stop noticing the ground beneath our feet. We live in the future tense, constantly trying to get somewhere, while the present moment quietly withers in our hands. So I ask you, gently, who told you that you needed to become someone greater than you already are? Let that question linger. Let it breathe. And now a deeper inquiry begins to unfold, because if not purpose, then what? If not the big goal, the fixed identity, the triumphant ending, then where do we turn to find peace? Let's explore that in part 2, The Trap of Identity and Time. Part 2, The Trap of Identity and Time. What if the real reason we suffer isn't because we haven't become someone, but because we've tied our self-worth to how fast we think we're supposed to get there? There's a subtle kind of suffering that creeps into the quiet spaces of our lives. It doesn't roar like heartbreak or scream like loss. No, it whispers, it ticks, it hovers. It shows up as a number, 30, 45, 60, a clock, a calendar, a quiet ache that asks, am I too late? This suffering has many faces. A man nearing retirement who secretly believes he should have accomplished more. A grandmother who wonders if she's done enough with her life now that the children are grown and the house is quiet. Or perhaps it's you, waking up one morning thinking, shouldn't I have figured it all out by now? In Buddhist teachings, this kind of suffering is known as clinging to identity. We build a mental image of who we think we should be, successful, admired, useful, and then we cling to that image like a lifeboat. But over time, the lifeboat becomes a cage, and the moment life doesn't match the timeline we imagined, we start to sink. The Buddha said, nothing ever exists entirely alone. Everything is in relation to everything else. Yet we compare our timelines as if they are isolated universes. We forget that a flower doesn't bloom because the one beside it did. It blooms when the conditions are right. I once spoke with a man named Harold, age 68. He had been a jazz pianist in his youth, but later left music behind to raise his family and work as an accountant. I always thought I'd get back to it, he told me. But now I look back and wonder if I missed my chance. His eyes drifted to the ground. I was supposed to be someone. I asked Harold a question that surprised even me. What if the version of you who played lullabies at bedtime was no less important than the version of you who once played for a crowd? He looked up slowly. Tears formed, not from regret, but from release. It's strange how long we hold on to the idea that we're not allowed to feel peace until we meet some internal deadline. But let me ask you this. Who made the deadline? In Zen, there's a story about a monk who asked his teacher, when will I be enlightened? The teacher responded, 10 years. The monk, startled, asked, and if I try really hard? The teacher replied, 20 years. What if I dedicate my entire life? The monk pleaded. Ah, said the master, then 30 years. The lesson. The more we obsess over becoming, the further we drift from being. And isn't that what identity and time do? They trap us in becoming. I must become successful. I must become worthy. I must become someone others will remember. And in doing so, we miss the truth that presence, not progress, is where life begins. So if you're feeling behind, I offer you this. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are simply alive. And that is more than enough for this moment. Time is not your enemy. The real enemy is the belief that you are running out of it. So what happens when we stop chasing timelines and start surrendering to what is? When we finally release the idea that we must be someone, before we're allowed to feel peace? Let's walk deeper into that question in Part 3, the suffering of attachment to outcomes. Part 3, the suffering of attachment to outcomes. What if your deepest exhaustion isn't from the effort you're making, but from the weight of what you're expecting to get in return? In the heart of every quiet suffering lies a silent contract we made with life. We may not remember signing it, but it's there, inked in our hopes, expectations, and unspoken bargains. If I try hard enough, I will succeed. If I'm kind enough, I'll be loved. If I sacrifice enough, it will all be worth it. But somewhere along the way, life forgets to deliver on our imagined terms, and we're left holding the weight of our effort without the reward we thought we earned. The Buddha spoke clearly of this kind of suffering. He called it tanha, craving, not just for pleasure, but for outcomes, for recognition, for our plans to unfold as we desire. In the second noble truth, he taught that suffering arises from craving and clinging to how we want things to be. I remember a woman named Lorraine I met during a mindfulness course in Oregon. She was in her early 70s, recently widowed, and had spent most of her adult life building a wellness center with her husband. She told me, "We gave everything to it. 30 years of our lives. I thought it would become a legacy for our kids, but they don't want it. They have their own lives now." Her voice trembled, not with anger, but with heartbreak. "So what was it all for?" she asked. "What was the point if no one continues it?" I took a moment, then softly said, "What if the point was never the outcome? What if it was the love you poured into it all along?" In Buddhist teaching, this is called non-attachment to results. It doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop needing our actions to earn us something in return. We serve, we love, we build, we express, not to secure permanence, but because the act itself is sacred. Zen master Shunryu Suzuki once said, "When you do something, you should burn yourself up completely, like a good bonfire, leaving no trace of yourself." That's the way of wisdom. The flower does not bloom for applause. The river does not flow hoping to be remembered, and yet their beauty remains. So many of us tie our sense of peace to the belief that something we do will one day complete us. But what if we are already complete, right here, right now, and our suffering comes from demanding more than life is designed to offer? There's a parable in Buddhist lore of a farmer who prayed every night for his crops to grow faster. He became so anxious that one day he went into the fields and began pulling on the tops of his rice plants, hoping to stretch them toward the sun. Of course, by morning, they had withered. His desire to control the outcome destroyed what was naturally unfolding. How often do we do the same? We push, we strain, we measure, and in doing so we lose the quiet joy of simply tending to the garden of our lives, moment by moment, without needing it to yield anything more than our honest care. So perhaps the invitation is not to abandon effort, but to release the craving for a specific result. Ask yourself gently, what would it feel like to create something without needing it to be successful? To love someone without expecting them to complete you? To wake up in the morning without needing the day to prove your worth? That kind of freedom, the ability to act without grasping for reward, is not passivity. It's peace. It's the soft, steady flame that remains when the fires of striving burn out. And once we let go of chasing results, something curious happens. We begin to notice the moments we've been missing all along. Let's explore that deeper in Part 4. Letting Go, the Liberation of Non-Striving. Part 4. Letting Go, the Liberation of Non-Striving. What if everything you've been chasing is quietly waiting for you to stop? There's a kind of stillness that doesn't come from silence, but from surrender. Not the kind of surrender that means giving up, but the kind that says, I don't need to fight this moment anymore. And that's where true peace begins, not in reaching some shining milestone, but in loosening the grip on the rope we've been pulling for decades. There's an old Zen saying, the tighter you hold the butterfly, the more likely you are to crush it. And yet for so many of us, especially as we grow older, we hold our days tightly. We grip our identities, our expectations, even our grief, believing that without them, we might float away into nothingness. But in Buddhism, the act of non-striving is not about apathy or laziness. It is a radical form of trust, a willingness to let life unfold without forcing it to perform. Let me tell you a story that still lives in my heart. There was a man named Charles that one met during a fall retreat in Vermont. He was 74, wiry, with gentle eyes and hands that had worked hard their whole life. For most of his years, Charles had been a builder, first homes, then commercial projects. But now, with age and a recent diagnosis of Parkinson's, he found himself sitting on porches instead of roofs. I used to need every day to mean something, he told me. Now I just sit and watch the wind in the trees and wonder why I didn't do this sooner. I asked him what had changed. He smiled, leaned back in his chair, and said, I stopped needing the days to add up to anything. I just wanted to be in them. That, to me, is the essence of Buddhist wisdom, the ability to live inside your life, not as a performance, but as a presence. The Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. But what he didn't say, and what many of us discover the hard way, is that the seeking itself is the barrier. We chase purpose, meaning, legacy, not realizing that in doing so, we're often running away from the only place where those things can actually be felt here. Now, there's another parable from the Zen tradition that speaks to this. A student asked his master, what must I do to find enlightenment? The master replied, chop wood, carry water. The student was puzzled, but I already do that. I want something deeper. The master replied again, chop wood, carry water. Years passed. The student meditated, fasted, studied. Still, no enlightenment. Frustrated, he asked again. The master only smiled and said, when you chop wood, just chop wood. When you carry water, just carry water. It wasn't a riddle. It was a revelation. When we do things with the hope of becoming someone, we add a layer of noise between ourselves and the moment. But when we release that hope, when we stop turning life into a stepping stone towards some imagined peak, we find that the stone itself is sacred. You see, liberation doesn't always come in thunderclaps. Sometimes it comes in making toast without narrating your failures, in drinking tea without strategizing your next move, in watching the light move across the room and letting that be enough. So let me ask you gently, what would your life feel like if it didn't need to be impressive? What if you no longer had to earn your right to exist? This is not about settling, it's about returning to a self that was never broken, only buried beneath layers of striving. Because once we release the need to achieve, we finally create space to receive. And in that space, something begins to whisper, not a grand purpose, but presence, not meaning as the world defines it, but meaning as the heart experiences it, quiet, honest, and real. Let's turn toward that in part 5, presence as true meaning. Part 5, presence as true meaning. If you stopped trying to make your life meaningful, would you finally see that it already is? There's a moment in nearly every quiet life, usually when the noise has settled and the room is still, where something inside us whispers, is this it? It often doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It just quietly leans in during the evening hours when the dishes are done and the sky begins to darken and asks, "What have I done with all this time?" But perhaps that's not the right question. Perhaps the real question is, have I truly lived even one moment without trying to make it become something else? The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." And yet, for most of us, the present moment is the one place we almost never live. We live instead in the commentary, thinking about what just happened, or what might happen next. Even when we're sipping tea or listening to music, there's a background hum in our minds evaluating, planning, remembering, regretting. And in all that noise, we miss the taste of the tea. We miss the music. We miss ourselves. I met a woman named Evelyn at a mindfulness center in New Mexico. She was 81, quick-witted and sharp-tongued, in the most charming way. She told me that after her husband passed, she kept herself busy, volunteering, gardening, managing the family finances, keeping her mind sharp, but something was missing. "I just felt empty," she said, "like I was doing all the right things, but none of them were landing. None of them were here." One afternoon, after a walking meditation session, she sat down and said something that still echoes in me. "I realized I've been doing my life instead of being in it." That shift from doing to being is where everything changes. In Buddhist practice, mindfulness is not a trendy buzzword. It's not about perfection or constant serenity. It's simply the art of returning to your body, your breath, this moment. And when you return, over and over again, you begin to feel something you can't explain, but also can't ignore: aliveness. There's a Zen koan that says, "What is your original face before your parents were born?" It's a way of pointing to the you beneath all your roles, your memories, your striving. The part of you that just is. The part that doesn't need to do anything special to be enough. Presence is not glamorous. It won't win awards. It doesn't get standing ovations. But it's the one place where you can finally take off the mask and just breathe. Where you can feel the warmth of the sunlight on your hand without wondering if it means something. Where you can listen to the laughter of your grandchild or the hum of your refrigerator and not wish it were something else. That, my friend, is meaning, not in the titles or the trophies, but in the texture of life, in the smell of morning coffee, in the ache of your knees as you rise from bed, in the sound of a breeze passing through the open window. Because what if the most spiritual thing you can do is to simply be here and mean it? Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it." And I wonder, what if joy has been trying to find you, but you've been too busy chasing something grand to notice its quiet knock? So I leave you with a small question to carry. What might open in your life if you gave the present moment your full attention, not to achieve anything, but simply to belong to it? And now, in this space of stillness we've begun to cultivate, let's take a breath and move gently into part 6. Practical, gentle reflections, where we explore how to live this wisdom, not as theory, but as daily rhythm. Part 6. Practical, gentle reflections. Now that we've laid down the heavy need for purpose, how do we actually live differently, moment by moment, breath by breath? There's a moment after a long rain where everything goes still. The earth is soft. The air carries a kind of hush. Nothing grand happens. And yet something in us feels restored, without needing to explain why. That's the kind of peace many of us have spent our whole lives seeking, but in all the wrong directions. We looked for it in achievements, in roles, in recognition. We measured it in goals reached and plans fulfilled. But peace, as the Buddha reminded us, is not the result of accumulation. Peace is the highest happiness. And happiness, in its truest form, is found in simplicity. So the question is no longer, what is my great purpose? The question becomes, how can I live with more presence, more gentleness, and more truth, starting now? Let me offer you a few quiet practices, not as rules, not as tasks, but as invitations, soft doorways back to yourself. 1. Notice without needing. Pick one moment of your day, a truly ordinary one. Washing the dishes, folding laundry, watering your plants. Now do it slowly and with your full attention. Notice the temperature of the water, the scent of the soap, the texture of the cloth. Not to accomplish something, but to meet the moment where it lives. Because often, we're not exhausted from doing too much. We're exhausted from not being present in what we're doing. 2. Speak to yourself like someone you love. We're often kindest to everyone except ourselves. So the next time that inner voice says, "You're behind, you haven't done enough, you should be more," pause. Place a hand on your heart. Gently say, "This is hard, and I'm doing the best I can." This is what the Buddha called metta, or loving kindness, not just for others, but for the self that struggles quietly beneath your ribs. This practice, done sincerely, softens even the most restless mind. 3. Trade what's next for what's now. Throughout your day, catch yourself in moments of grasping. What should I do next? What's the point of this? When that thought appears, smile at it gently and ask instead, what's here right now? It might be the warmth of your tea, the sound of birds outside, the feel of your feet on the floor. And in that tiny shift from future to present, you'll find a quiet kind of grace. 4. Let small joys be enough. Joy doesn't need to be justified. You don't need a reason to enjoy the way the light falls on your kitchen counter or the way your dog sighs as it settles in for a nap. These are not distractions from a meaningful life. They are the meaningful life. As Zen teacher Dogen once said, if you are unable to find the truth right where you are, where else do you expect to find it? 5. Forgive the one who tried so hard. Finally, take a moment, tonight, maybe before bed, and silently thank the younger version of yourself who tried so hard to become someone, not to mock them, not to scold them, but to recognize that they were simply trying to matter in the only way they knew how. Then whisper gently, you don't have to prove anything anymore. You made it. You're here. Because in the end, this entire journey we've walked together, it's not really about purpose. It's about presence. It's not about carving your name into the world. It's about feeling the world as it is with all your heart. And as we bring this reflection to a close, perhaps the only real question left is this. If you stop trying to live a meaningful life, would you discover that you already are? Take a breath. Feel the weight of that question settle gently into your chest, and carry it with you, not as a burden, but as a lantern. Because the path, dear friend, was never out there. It has always been beneath your feet. Do you remember that moment we spoke of, early morning, cup in hand, the stillness before the day begins? Maybe it's still waiting for you, not as a place, but as a pause, a small corner of time where nothing needs to happen, and you don't have to be anyone other than the person you already are. And as I sit here now, I realize maybe we've been asking the wrong questions all along. Not what am I meant to become, but can I be with myself even when I'm no longer striving? Can I sit in this life as it is, not as a problem to solve, but a presence to soften into? Because sometimes the greatest kind of peace isn't something we arrive at, it's what we remember when we stop running. Like the light on the floor that doesn't ask to be seen, like the tree outside your window that has been growing slowly, silently, through all the decades of your becoming. You don't need a grand story to be whole. You don't need to be remembered to have lived beautifully. You just need to be here, softly, truly, fully. And if this touched something quiet in you, maybe someone you love is carrying that same quiet ache. You could send this their way, not as advice, but as a hand held out, as a shared breath, as a gentle reminder, you're not alone, and you never were.